Hello and good morning and welcome to episode 279. Right, for this video guys, I am back down on the Syndicate, Aspen Lake on the Cotswold water park, and this session is a four-nighter. As you join me, I've already done one night, so it's bright and early, first thing in the morning. A bit nippy, got a northerly wind blowing sort of down towards us at the moment, making it a bit chilly. But yeah, as you join us, I've already done one night because when I got here yesterday, the rain was on and off all day. We had 40-mile-an-hour winds, nearly 50-mile-an-hour winds blowing through. And yeah, it just made it impossible to do any filming yesterday. So I've got the camera out first thing this morning. Up to now, nothing's happened. I did have one liner yesterday that made me hit one of my rods, but nothing was on the end. Yeah. I did attempt 2 weeks ago to do a 5-night session. So 2 weeks ago yesterday I come down here, I set up on the north bank that time. That hasn't made it a video unfortunately, because while I was loading up my van for that session, my back went. I tried to muddle through, took some painkillers, got here, got all set up, and as the day went on, my back got worse and worse. Sort of went to bed, got up next morning, could barely move. I had a duck pick me up, and I struggled to pick up a duck. I was like, so as soon as that happened, wound in the other 2 rods, packed up. Took me 4 hours to pack up instead of the normal hour or so, just because I couldn't move with me back. And then when I got home, I was basically laid up for a week, and then I've only literally just come off the painkillers just a few days ago. So I thought, right, let's get back down Aspen and try again. But yeah, I've only got a 4-nighter, well, only a 4-nighter for this session. So yeah, like I said, nothing's happened up to now. So, right, anyway, that's enough waffle with where I am and what I'm doing and what's happened. I'll probably wind the rods in a few hours. It's still early in the morning yet. So, yeah, probably have to wind the rods in a few hours when the first facilities visit of the session comes along. And then we'll go through what I'm doing, etc, etc. So for now, let's go fishing. Right guys, so just getting ready to put the rods back out now. I've had to have me daily winding for the daily facilities visit. It's actually lunchtime now, so when I got back to me swim, I actually had a little walk around the lake. It's a bit of a nice sunny day now, so I just thought I'd have a little walk around, see if I could see anything. But yeah, time to get the rods back out. So rigs already in the boat, but we're fishing the same rigs as what we was fishing in the last video when I was at Farlow's, which is the Gemini booms, sort of the combi one with a corder loop hook link assembly on there. And yeah, albeit these are barbless hooks in Aspen's a barbless venue. So yeah, so we're fishing that Gemini come corder stiff braided assembly affair. Standard lead clip assembly. Then behind that, the rigmarole tubing. Then on top of the rigmarole tubing I've got a little weighted bead as well. I put that on there just to stop back leads, and if I'm using flying back leads from sliding down the tubing, the bead's just there as a bit of a stopper. So rig's already in the boat, and then we are going to put some of my particle mix in the boat. The particle mix is just a bit of an ensemble of particles and pellets and crushed boilie. It's a bit stodgy now because I've had it for a while, but it does the job. Lid goes on, and this is going to be my right hand rod that I'm going to fish this actually sort of out of my water. There's only one other guy on the lake at the moment, and he's 3 swims to my left. So there's a spot 2 swims to my right. It's a hole that's out there. When this lake was drained a couple of years ago to shallow it up, in front of the swim, about 10 rod lengths out, 2 swims to my right, there's a slightly deeper hole. What that hole was when they drained this lake, it was like the bund hole where they put the pump to drain this section of the lake. Well, that hole is still there. It's about the size of a couple of table tennis tables, I suppose. So I'm going to fish to that spot. I put my marker float out there earlier on from the swim, 2 swims to my right, just to remind myself where the hole was exactly. Put my marker float out there, come back to my swim, look where the marker float was, and by chance there's a big rock on the far margin, which is, if I just drive my bait boat towards that rock, and then it's about, I don't know, 3 rod lengths I suppose, maybe 4 rod lengths. I have got it pictured in my head how far I need to go with my bait boat to find the hole. I mean, if you can see the ducks out there at the moment, it's roughly just the other side of where them ducks are. But yeah, basically if I aim for that big rock that's on the far margin, I'm not going to be far wrong, to be fair. Right, let's get the first boat out of the day. I'll say I'm taking me time because once the rods go up there, unless any fish come along, they won't get touched until tomorrow. This isn't the sort of water where you keep redoing your rods. This is very much a sort of a bait and wait kind of water because of the sort of lack of fish. You just kind of need to set your stall up, get a good rig out there, nice bit of smelly bait, and then hopefully the fish will home in on that. So, right, let's waffle in, let's get the boat out there. Bail arm is off. I've made that mistake a couple of times. Nearly there. Let's stop the bait boat now. Lovely jovely. Right. So that's the first rod done, guys. All 3 rigs on all 3 rods are going to be exactly the same, and I'm spreading the rods out as well, so when the middle rod goes, I'm not going to film the next 2 rods just in an effort to keep the vlog shorter, but the middle rod is basically going dead out in front somewhere up to the far margin, and then the left rod the same but kind of in about a 10:30 sort of angle from my swim. Right, I'm going to crack on and do that, and hopefully guys I can get back to you sometime later on with some fishy action. Right guys, so a little bit of kit I carry in my tackle but don't often use, because I really only use it sort of around a couple of specific times of the year. Is a little water thermometer. So yeah, like I say, I only really use it a couple of times a year, or a couple of periods, you know, of the year, not a couple of times of the year. And one of them periods is kind of about now, kind of as we're sort of going into springtime, and you know, the temperature's warming up a little bit. The water temperature is also slowly warming up a bit, and they say the magic figure for fish to really kind of start feeding is when the water temperature gets around about sort of 10 degrees centigrade. So when I woke up this morning, it was hovering around about 8 degrees, 7.98 degrees this morning, and as the day's gone on and the sun's been up, we're now hovering around 9.3, 9.4 degrees. So yeah, so during the course of today, like I say, it's now mid-afternoon and we've kind of gained about 1.5 degrees in water temperature. Yeah, I know it's the sensors in the margins and it will be a little bit colder out in the deeper water, but I just like to sort of start using it around this time of year to kind of gauge when the fish might start feeding. And yeah, 9.4 now, so yeah, it still indicates that to me that the fishing is still going to be a bit slow, bit tough, but you know, another sort of 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sort of end of March, beginning of April, we might start seeing that kind of magic 10 degrees centigrade number, and hopefully the fish might start kind of feeding with gusto then. And then I mentioned a couple of periods of the year. The other time I then tend to get the thermometer out is normally around kind of late spring, early summer, when the kind of the water temperatures are around sort of 18 degrees. And that's kind of normally around, you know, spawning time. So that's when I normally start getting the thermometer out again then. It's not always summer I get out, and it's not always summer I do show, but when I do use it. But I thought, just to add a bit of content into this blog, I thought I'd show you it. Right, and guys, so it's what time is it now? 5:45, and it's really starting to get a bit chilly now. The temperatures during the night are forecast to get down to like, is it -1, -2, and now the sun has kind of dropped below the sort of, at least the tree line. I can still see the sun just above the horizon through the hedgerow behind me, but yeah, it's already starting to feel really chilly already. So I think I'm going to don a couple more layers, or at least one more layer, make myself a hot drink, and then put the camera away. I think put my spare woolly hat on the camera, keep the chilly night air off of the camera for the night, and then tomorrow and then the following 2 nights it should be a lot warmer. The following 2 nights are forecast to be up near double figures. It's crazy weather these few days I'm on the bank. So yeah, so I'll leave the camera putting up the rods for as long as I can, hopefully try and get a take on film. But yeah, with the sun sort of almost below the horizon, it probably won't be long before the camera goes away. So I doubt there will be any takes on film within probably the next 45 minutes, guys, and then so I'll probably, I mean, hopefully I'll see you in the night, but I'll probably see you in the morning. Right, good evening, guys. It's 20 to 9 and I've just had my first fish. Unfortunately, not a carp, but a little, well, I say little tench. I didn't weigh it, I've just unhooked it and put it straight back in the margins. So yeah, so it's not a blank if you count tench, but yeah, I didn't want to waste time sort of getting the fish out, getting the camera out and everything, so just for a tench. So, but yeah, the tench was absolutely nailed in the bottom lip. So yeah, so that's my first ever fish I've caught on you know, this particular kind of Gemini, you know, combi rig, and you know, the cord loop sort of combo that I've put together. So at least I know this combo works. I'm not going to use the bait boat to put this rig back out now. I'm just going to put some PVA nuggets on there and just chuck it to get it fishing back out for the night. I could use the bait boat, but I just find it too much faff to use in the dark. But yeah, so it's not a complete blank, and yeah, it's just nice to know that this kind of rig combination that I've put together does work. Hopefully the next one will be a carp. Good morning, everybody. And God, that was cold this morning when I first woke up. I woke up about 6 o'clock needing a wee. Everything out here was frozen. I said last night it was going to be a cold one in the night, and yeah, it sure was. Everything was frozen. Really foggy as well this morning. The sun was just coming up when I got up for a wee, and yeah, it was really foggy this morning, but yeah. But after I had that tench last night, then I'll say everything went quiet. I do have another liner on my left hand rod, same rod that I had the tench, and well, I say it's a liner. It's the bobbin come right up to the rod, then it danced around for a little bit, you know, so I sort of sat up and, oh, is anything happening kind of thing, and then it'll just stop. The bobbin just stayed where it was, and because it was so cold in the night, I didn't even get out of my bed to reset the bobbin, drop the bobbin back down. But yeah, certainly needed this hot chocolate this morning. Yeah, so have some breakfast in a minute. No doubt it won't be long before I need to do a facilities run, and then it'll be like a full reset with the rods, etc, etc. Right guys, so time to get the rods back out. We've had to have our morning facilities visit a bit earlier than normal. For me tea last night I had a Thai green curry And what I didn't realise when I picked it up, it was a vegan one. Ugh. It was edible, it filled a hole about how people eat vegan bloody food. I don't know. I mean, it was edible. That's about all I can say about it. And yeah, this morning it wanted to make a rather quick exit, so I won't be making that mistake again. Anyway, rods are about to go back out, and we're having a tactic change today, guys. So up to now we've been fishing on those combi rigs incorporating the Gemini tackle booms. Obviously nothing's happened up to now apart from that tench. So we are fishing pop-ups now. So I'm still using the Gemini booms, but what I've done is I've taken one of the like the Ronnie ones, cut the swivel off, and adapted it with one of the ESP Ronnie clips, and then so basically I've got a stiff hinge rig basically. So I've clipped on then a short chod section. The good thing about the them ESP Ronnie clips is that they well, I mean, they're meant to be for Ronnie rigs, but they work just as well with like chod sections as well to make a stiff hinge rig. You know, you just clip on, little sleeve goes over the clip, so it's all quick change, nice and easy. The sleeve is tungsten, so it's all weighted, lovely jubbly. And we are still using the nuts hook bait, but Hinders have finally brought out the nuts hook bait in the 12mm pop-ups, which is what I've got on now. So yeah, so first rod about to go back out, guys. A little bit of bait as per usual. So we're still going to fish the same areas, guys. I don't think there's any reason to change where I'm fishing. So I mean, right hand rod, so I'm going to aim for that rock yesterday, because you know, of that hole that I mentioned that's out there that I'm going to fish to. You know, it's just a couple of foot deeper water, so you know, maybe the fish might get in there, they might not, but in a fairly featureless lake, it's one of the few features that's in this lake, so it's worth fishing in it, in my opinion. So yeah, little tactic change. Say wafters hasn't worked up to now, so maybe the fish might like a pop-up this session. So all I've got to do is drive out towards that rock that's on the far margins that I pointed out to you yesterday, guys. Make sure I'm about 3 rod lengths off the bank approximately, which is about there. Bombs away. First rod is done, guys. Right, so as per usual, like I say, I'm going to do the next 2 rods off camera so I don't drag the blog out too long. And then the next time I get back to you is if there's any sort of action of any sort. Well, good evening, guys, or should I say good night, because it is 8 o'clock. So I've I mean, as you can probably hear, it's raining at the moment, and it has been doing so since about midday. So but yeah, it's brought a bit of cold temperature with the rain, and yeah, about 4 o'clock I just got under my bed chair blanket just to try and keep warm. And then I must have nodded off, and then I woke up and it was all dark. Oh dear me. So yeah, it's been a bit of a quiet day, in other words. So obviously since this morning, or you know, just before lunchtime, which by fluke having to do that facilities run, allowed me to get the rods redone while it was dry. Because yeah, not long after the rods went out, that's when it started raining, and it hasn't stopped. So yeah, so I got into me, well I say not into my sleeping bag, but just under me bed chair blanket, had a bit of a lie down, and yeah, promptly nodded off for several hours. So yeah, starving now, need to have some dinner, that's more like supper time. So obviously I've not touched the rods anymore since they got redone this morning, or sort of, you know, mid-morning time rather. But not that that's a worry, you know, obviously, because there's no need to reset rods when you don't need to. I mean, these new baits that I'm using, like I say, I had to wait for a while before they were ready, because Hinders have kind of changed the base mix of their pop-ups ever so slightly and made them a little bit more buoyant. So even little 12 millis like that will hold up a sort of a size 4 sort of Ronnie rig, for example, for sort of in excess of 48 hours now. So where before, you know, kind of after about 24 hours they'd start, you know, drooping over a little bit. So that's all good. And I've also got some of the new well, not new, but the seafood pop-ups in also the new more buoyant mix as well, but they'll come out to play another session. So yeah, so like I say, been a bit of a quiet day, guys. Nothing's happened, there's been no bleeps or anything since the rods went out. So yeah, so I'm going to put the camera away now, probably for the night, I expect, guys. This rain is forecast to go on to about midnight. Right, so barring any nighttime action, guys, I'll probably see you in the morning. Right guys, I've just had a little bit more action, but as the same as last night's fish, unfortunately it was another tench. Well, I'll say unfortunately, there's nothing wrong with tench, I love tench. But tench is not what I've come for. So, but right hand rod this time, that rod that I've been fishing in, that little hole that's out there. So yeah, it's a good indication that, you know, the spot is right, there are fish in that hole. So but I just need it to be the species I want before I forget what a carp actually looks like. So yeah, so when the rod went, this one gave me a bit more of a fight as well. I thought, ah, brilliant. I've got the tactics right by doing this kind of bit of a rig change. But yeah, just seems like the old tench are being active at the moment. Right, let's put the curve back in that txi-d section, because obviously when you have a fish on, they straighten out a little bit. Lovely jubbly. Right, obviously again, like last night, I'm not going to use the bait boat because I just find the boat too much hassle in darkness. So we'll just cast it back out randomly. Obviously I'm not expecting to hit that hole in the dark because, you know, I've not done any measuring up or clipping up or anything. So it's just going to be another pub chuck just to keep the rod fishing through the night. Right, let's get it back out there. Hopefully the next fish will be a carp. Good morning everyone, and yeah, it was a bit of a wet night. Oh, camera's misting up a little bit, but yeah, bit of a wet night. We had a fair bit of rain in the night, eased off a little bit, enough for me to have that tench last night. But yeah, today's my final full day on the lake, guys, and it's also what's looking like the best conditions of this session. We've the temperatures have warmed up to double figures today, just about. We've got a southwesterly blowing. I mean, not that one, I mean an actual southwesterly blowing. Yeah, it's overcast. We've got a little bit of rain coming in this afternoon, and the air pressure is also dropping. It drops to almost 1,000 millibars sort of later on in the day. So conditions today are looking absolutely bang on for a fish today. Whether the fish know the conditions are right or not, I don't know, but we know the conditions are right. I just hope the fish are reading their rule book so they know the conditions are right. So yeah, finish off this Bailey's hot chocolate, have some breakfast, normal daily facilities run, and then reset on the rods again. We'll stick with the that variation of the stiff hinge rig that I've set up when we redo the rods later on today. Maybe I might change the hook baits. And like I said, we're sort of almost 3 days into the session now, and the nuts haven't worked. And I briefly showed you I've got the new, more buoyant seafood pop-ups with me. Wasn't intending on using them this session, but nothing's happened up to now, so I'll probably stick them on the rigs when the rods go back out later on, because they are a much more smelly, sort of more attractive bait. So we'll probably go with them later on. But anyway, for now, I'm going to fish my hot chocolate, and I'll catch up with you later, guys. Right guys, so getting the rods out now for the last 24 hours. So yeah, roughly about this time tomorrow I'll probably be starting me pack up, so potentially this would be the last time the rods will be getting dealt with unless any fish come along, which obviously, hopefully, I do hope that's the case. So yeah, so slight tactic change, same rigs as yesterday, that variation of the stiff hinge rig. We've changed hook baits as I said I might do this morning. We've got the seafood pop-ups on now, so they're a lot stinkier than that nut bait, so hopefully a bit more of a smelly hook bait might draw the fish in. Not using that particle mix today. I've got some of the good old golden nuggets that I'm going to bait up with for this last 24 hours, and that's all I'm going to use, just the corn. So yeah, corn only. So basically we're going with a you know, a high visual attract with the corn, stinkier bait for the fish to home in on. Like, as I said earlier on, the conditions today are absolutely bang on. Hopefully this slight tactic change will be bang on as well. As you can see, I've already got one rod out, so yeah, so fingers crossed guys, the last 24 hours would be a bit more fruitful. I mean, it's been nice to catch a couple of tench, but you know, I do like tench, but obviously those who have been watching my videos lately will know I've been having a bit of a struggle catching a carp lately. So although it's been nice to catch a couple of nice tench, and if I catch one in the day I will show you it. I just couldn't be bothered getting all the camera equipment out at night time. But yeah, with the struggles I've had lately in my last several sessions, a carp is really what I want guys. So anyway, so fingers crossed. They are a nice little bed of the old golden nuggets. Will be a nice visual thing for the carp to home in on. The birds have been giving me a bit of grief with diving on my free offerings, but hopefully they won't be able to home in on that dark coloured hook bait that the seafood is. Right, good evening guys. And yeah, it is evening. Look at the daylight, 6:30 and we've still got daylight. The days are slowly starting to draw out a little bit longer. But yeah, back to the fishing and well, I'll say camping. It's yeah, been a quiet day so far. Up to now I've not had any liners, bleeps, nothing. So there's only me and one other guy on the lake tonight. There was someone in the bench swim last night. They went and another guy's turned up this afternoon and he's gone into the bench swim today. So but yeah, all quiet on the Western Front, which is a good film actually. If you've not seen that film on Netflix, have a look. Good film. But yeah, so it's gone a bit chilly this evening. The last couple of hours we've had a bit of really that kind of fine rain in the air, and it's really brought the temperature down a bit. So yeah, it's gone a bit chilly this evening. But anyway, enough waffle. I'm going to put the camera away now guys, and then hopefully the fourth and final night might be a bit more successful. If we do get anything, hopefully it's not a tench this time. Right, fingers crossed for the night guys. Good morning everybody, and what a lovely morning it is as well. It's only just gone 6:30, but there's already sort of nearly blue skies, a bit cloudy over yonder, but sort of above us is all nice and sort of blue already. So it doesn't feel cold at all this morning. It's yeah, it feels a lovely morning. It's certainly the best morning of my time on the bank for this session so far. Even though it's only just gone 6:30, the water temperature is already 8.7 degrees, and it's flicking between 8.7 and 8.8, so it looks like the water's warming up nicely. That's probably going to get up to 9 degrees later on. So we're almost at that magical kind of double figure water temperatures. As you can see behind me at the moment, there's no wind blowing at the moment. It's an absolutely lovely morning. All apart from that, there's been no fish. Had a liner on the right hand rod sometime during the night. In fact, I didn't even know it was a right hand rod until this morning. I had to check the memory function on my Delkin receiver to see what rod it was that did have a liner last night. But yeah, it was the right hand rod that I'm fishing in that hole over there. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a lovely day. Just a shame today is pack up day guys. But yeah, if the conditions look bang on for fish yesterday, they look even more bang on for it today. So yeah, as I said, it's just gone 6:30. Obviously we won't be touching the rods until it is pack up time, because you know, it is sort of classic bite time, so I definitely won't be disturbing the rods. And then when sort of bite time has passed, well, that'll be about the time I'll be packing up anyway guys. So I plan to pack up around sort of midday, lunchtime-ish. But yeah, it's definitely feeling like it's spring in the air. Although my camera's decided to mist up a little bit, but right guys, so as the camera's misting up, I'll leave it there and I will, well, like I say, 6 hours at the most left really I'm giving myself for this session. Maybe 7 hours, fingers crossed. Right then guys, as you can see we are down to just rods on the ground, and in absolute typical pack up fashion, a big rain cloud went over, wasn't on the forecast, and everything, yeah, the bivvy's down so everything is behind the swim, ready to go and sort of go and get me van in a minute once the rods come in. Yeah, and it absolutely lashed it down for about 10-15 minutes and got all my kit wet. So yeah, not only have I blanked on the cup side of things, all my kit is now soaking wet. Brilliant. So yeah, so as I said, yeah, apart from the 2 tench I had, which unfortunately I didn't show you because it was in the middle of the nights when I had them, yeah, on the cup side of it, it was a blank, and another blank unfortunately guys. I hope you've enjoyed my efforts anyway guys. I won't be fishing now for about 2.5 weeks now. Next week me and the missus are off on a little week's holiday in North Wales, so for a week, and then my next planned session is going to be back up at Bluebell Lakes, meeting up with my mate Simon and one of his mates, and yeah, we're going to be there for basically Easter weekend. So as I said, because I'm going to be on holiday next week, I'm probably not going to get time to edit this until I've got back from Wales, which the likelihood is by the time you're watching this guys, I actually probably will be at Bluebell Lakes. So till then, tight lines, be lucky if you're fishing, and yeah, I'll see you up at Bluebell guys.